Crazy Fingers only sounds elusive until you understand how Bob Weir is organizing it. When you do, it stops feeling random and starts feeling inevitable. Let's start with the intro. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why this tune is different from a lot of Dead tunes, and we're going to be looking at some of them as we go through. We're just going to do section by section and focusing on Bob's approach from 6-9-76. That's just my favorite version, and they really take it out there, which they would sometimes do, and we're going to look at that, which makes it kind of different in this scale they didn't typically use. We'll save that for the end. But right now, let's check out what's going on in the intro part. We are playing in the key of G, although as we go throughout, the chords are going to be all over the place. But right now, we are in G, and we're in 12/8, which is not all that uncommon, like Sugar E's in 12/8, but it switches back and forth as you'll see throughout. So that's a little bit different of a thing that they do. So you're getting this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 feel going. But Bob's playing like a low bass part like this. He does it a few times, and he's playing with a phase or two typically. Just playing clean here now, but this right here is giving us that sus note. So the chords are G to G sus, and this is he's just playing down real low. That's C, that's that sus note. And then the last time, just descending down, you get this E flat augmented chord, but he's just typically again playing just the bass, bass note of it's kind of like a bass line here, which Jerry sometimes would kind of play low down bass parts too. So that's all that's going on with the intro. And if this is, this song is already starting to shape up to be too challenging for you, I urge you to check out my Bob Weir 5-day challenge. I'll put a link in the description down below. It's going over I Know You Rider, 5 days, working your way up, looking at these different tactics that Bob would do. Way easier than this tune. But let's keep going. Let's get deeper. Let's check out the verse. So now we're in 4/4, and it's got basically this reggae feel anytime it's in the 4/4 section, although Bob's not always playing a reggae feel. Like sometimes he's playing more of like this bass part right here, and then into C. So he's playing around this D, down 2 frets to C, and again, this is just like, a loose guide for this version. But also keep in mind, it doesn't have to be this way every time. I'm just showing you like the middle 2 notes. That's kind of like part of this C chord, but you can play more of it if you want to. If you know these cage shapes, it's really helpful to know. And then down to G. So now we're in the E shapes, if you're thinking about cage shapes. So he's a lot of times playing the low note, and then playing the higher stuff. And then to B flat, and put this note right here before. So a lot of these like notes that are leading into the next bass note. And then this is a little lick he does throughout. And then same as G, but now down here for F. Sometimes playing this note. I didn't write that in there, but and this is a very cool way going to F minor. So it's going F minor, thing the Beatles would do all the time. But instead of doing it that way, it's like playing this here. It's just an inversion. And playing the minor third, the A flat in the bottom. and do that little sliding thing into it. And then doing a 12/8 now going. And it's reversing from the intro. It's going G sus to G instead of G to G sus. And this is just, that's that sus note. And then back to the reggae feel. B flat like this. And then now it's just lowering this note here to make it so B flat minor, E flat major 7 here, getting jazzy. So a little, that's like kind of like this bass line weaved into to a C minor, but just over G. That's how you get that specific, again, bass movement. And then back to, but now it's G first, G sus, here again. And then a little pickup thing into it. To bring it back around. And then basically the same thing again. Second time around doesn't do that. It just kind of hangs on that because it's going to go into the next part, the chorus. Let's hear it. So now we are going right to an F minor, and you're just kind of doing that reggae thing again. And then on the last beat, an E augmented chord. Like here's your regular E, and you're like your D shape. And you just raise this one up. And that's a harsh one. That's a harsh one. You may hear that like, oh, that can't be right. It's so harsh. I remember the first time I learned this chord, what was it, a 7 sharp 11 when I was in school for jazz, and my private teacher told me to learn this tune, and this was in there, and I learned. I was like, oh, this sounds so horrible. And I went in, and next week, and I was like, this chord can't be right. There's got to be a typo. And he was like, no, that's it. And when you played it faster in context, it actually sounds good. But I was playing it really slowly because I was just trying to get it on my fingers or just get acquainted with the sound, And also, your ear needs to get used to these harsh sounds. So that was just an eye-opening thing. I'm like, oh yeah, it may sound weird now if you're not used to it, but eventually you get used to it, and it just becomes another kind of palette of sounds. So, anyways, you got that. It goes real quick, and then A flat. And this is just showing you the top kind of 2, top 3 strings to hit. You don't have to play it, verbatim, but this A flat, in the E shape, and then E flat, and the C shape, and then F minor again, A flat, E flat, and then here we go, a C minor over G again, this time playing these 4 strings, and then you just lower this down here, and that becomes a G sus. Up to an A flat again, and then A diminished 7, another harsh one. If you're not used to it, get used to that sound. And then we've got E flat major 7 for 3 beats, and then just going right down chromatically. And then it goes to a D flat 7, like this in a very unusual way. Back down, and then that G sus G. And then, back to a verse or to a solo and stuff. But let's check out the outro section now. Now again, if this song is feeling overwhelming, just check out that Bob 5-Day Challenge. in the description down below this video. Will guide you through I Know You Rider. Much simpler tune, just, mostly D, C, G, for the most of the tune. But here we are now just back to the intro, but instead of playing that intro part, we now have this. And you can also pick it more like, kind of just picking around it, and he just does that for a while Jerry's just kind of ripping it over a G, G major scale for the most part, until they sometimes would start to take it out. So I'm going to play 3 little different parts of what he would typically do, and especially in this version that I was listening to, transcribing this stuff, and I'll explain what's going on. So first off, the scale is going from G to G Phrygian dominant. And there's a few different ways of naming this. It's also Spanish Phrygian, or you can also think of it as C harmonic minor, the 5th mode. So if you take C minor, and then you flatten the 7th. I'm sorry, you raise the 7th. Right here. But you focus on the 5th mode of it. So you have 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a G. So when you hear a lot of minor stuff, it's like, or you could even stress it more like, and that would be revolving around this note right here. So that's what's going on there. And that's a lot of what Jerry's doing, like higher up. But Bob's not, going around crazy with that scale. He's just playing a few of these things. So this is typically, going through that first part. But now he's literally just throwing in this one note from the scale. I'm sorry. And then he just kind of does that for a while, and then eventually starts to go up here. So he's like slowly adding on more stuff, but he's still but holding down that G to G sus sound, but it's not really a normal sus sound because they're pulling. Everybody's starting to pull out of their fills, doing it. Everybody's pulling into this, morphs into this mode, the scale, and then the third time he just does it the same thing. It's just up an octave up here. And literally that's it. You don't have to go super crazy if you were playing this tune with a band or with a backing track. Just take those 3 ideas, and really two of them are the same thing, just up an octave, and that's gonna get you by. Again, it doesn't have to be verbatim, but just using those note choices and playing around with it and making it, your own. And, now that you've seen how Bob handles the wild complexity of Crazy Fingers, what does he do when the jam is like way simpler, like say just 2 chords? Well, in this video here, I'll show you some of Weir's go-to tricks for keeping things interesting, even in the most stripped back jams.